Yesterday, the 23rd of December 2024, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Tinubu, granted his first group chat with the press since he became president. That was expected of him. For all of us from Broad Street, we urge him to do it more regularly and more often, such that we can look up to such a time for him to answer some of the questions that arise out of his style of governance. I am very certain that some of the things that look like misconstrued to the press could have been cleared if the president had addressed the press regularly and tried to iron out some of them. We watched and observed a lot of good things could have been said, and a few things came from that meeting. We want to just highlight some of the key points that the president made in the course of the meeting. Some of the things he cleared as questions were asked. The president said he does not believe in price control. There have been efforts, there have been suggestions that he should control price of goods in the market to tame consumer price inflation. But he says no, he doesn't believe in that. And we believe in what he believes in this matter. From Brussels Radio, we say yes. There is no place for price control under a free market economy. It's the forces of demand and supply that determines the price. If something has become costly, the right thing to do is to give us a good supply of it to dilute it. When rice was trying to get out of the reach of even the rich, the president ordered that the borders be allowed to bring in rice. And it has dropped below 100,000 naira in the market for this season. That's the right practice. So we say to the president, that's kudos. That's the right thing. There is no need to try to fix price. You didn't buy it for them. You didn't cultivate it for them. How can you come from nowhere and say you must sell at 1 naira when he wants to sell at 170? That belongs to the archives. It's not what we now believe. He says he has no regret removing subsidy. Again, in free market economy, subsidy has no place. But what we have always said from Broad Street is that if you must remove subsidy, which you have done, can it have a human face? Let it have a human face. Can you provide landing space for people who are falling? There are things you could have done to cushion the effects of the removal of the subsidy. The removal of subsidy on petroleum came at the same time with the flotation of the naira. The two are potent enough to bring down anybody. But those things were pronounced from the day you assumed office and immediately without provision for the effects. Otherwise, subsidy removal is part of the economy that the administration is running. He says it's not a crime to borrow. Of course, we agree. President says it's not a crime to borrow. That was when they put it to him that he seemed to have borrowed so much. He said it's not a crime to borrow. I agree. We agree that it's not a crime to borrow. But there is borrowing meant for consumption and for production. America remains the biggest borrower. But of course, they remain the stoutest economy. If we are borrowing to put them into things that will produce and not to belabor the generation coming behind us, that will be the right borrowing. We are yet to see exactly where those monies that are being borrowed are going into. It's not a crime to borrow. Yes, that's true. Tax reforms have come to stay, but open for negotiation on VAT. Yeah, the president, one thing you cannot take away from this president is that he's not afraid to take decision. No, that one you can't take away from Tinubu. Tinubu is not afraid to take decision. And so tax reforms, let the reform also have human face. Let it have human face. You cannot be taxing a people that are already on the ground. Can set example of what happens in Europe and America, where taxes alone take minus plus 40% of your total income. But amenities are provided. In my house, I buy diesel to have light. In my house, I buy diesel to pump water. In my house, my security men are my two big dogs. But these are things the government could have provided. So you tax me, and I still provide it for myself. So let this government also have human face. Yes, tax reforms is allowed. VAT seems to be a major source of income. Of course, there have been cries left and right, particularly from the northern part of the country, on the distribution of the VAT income. He says he's open for discussion. He also expressed confidence in his security architecture. Lately, we have scored some good points under that. So I want to believe him, and I also ask fellow Nigerians, let's give him some chance. Let this architecture he's talking about work. And there will come a time when we have to review it again and see whether it's working indeed. President Tinubu insists that reforms not designed to inflict pains on Nigerians, and then it is necessary for growth. Many names have been called the president, and the assumption is that he knows what he's doing to punish the people. I do not believe that a president will want to punish his subjects. But of course, it's possible to do things that become punishment when they ought not to be. He says that they are not designed to inflict pains. I agree, but pains are all over the place. People can hardly find food to eat. I'm an employer of labor. Sometimes I wonder how my workers are managing, because I know how much I pay them, which is commensurate, but definitely not going far for them. Their take home doesn't take them home any longer. So pains all over the place. Touch anything you like in Nigeria, the price has gone up. I mean anything and anything. And he says he has met obligations without recourse to an NPCL fund. Again, the last of the matter was, he says, he is blaming the stampede that caused the death of a lot of people in Lagos and Abuja on the organizers. He made an elaborate explanation why he said so. While the opposition party says it is the hunger in the land that made people scramble for food. He said he's been giving out food packages from Bodilon, his residence, since 25 years ago, and nobody had died struggling for it. That they didn't make adequate arrangements for the distribution. So he puts the blame squarely on those people who were giving those handouts, those who were giving the food and all those things out that people had to die in. Doesn't it make sense? It looks so. Adequate arrangements should be made. But I agree also that there's a time in this nation when you throw out such handouts, not many will come. When things were better, things are not good. So one reason why everybody seems to scramble for it is because they can't afford to buy it. But those that must give it out must organize it. We just talked about a young man who went out giving out a lot of things to his community. He organized it, and people came out, stood in line, and received it. So when next you have something to give to the people, please do proper arrangement and organization, that people will not die struggling to get the handouts that you intend to give them to eat and live. Thank you.